In this video, we're going to focus on naming ionic compounds. This is going to be binary ionic compounds, those with polyatomic ions, and those with transition metals where you have to incorporate the Roman numerals. So let's begin. Let's start with the basics. How can we write the name of NaCl? So if we're given a chemical formula, how can we write the name of this compound? So it's an ionic compound, and ionic compounds are composed of a metal and a nonmetal. You need to distinguish it from molecular compounds because the naming system is different. For molecular compounds, typically, not all the time, but most of the time, it's consistent of two nonmetals, and you have to use rules like mono, di, tri, tetra, and things like that. But when you have an ionic compound, you don't need to use the prefixes mono, di, tri, tetra. So keep that in mind. So what you need to do is name the first element. Na is called sodium. Now the second element, instead of calling it chlorine, you're going to add the end in chloride. So it's called sodium chloride. Let's try another example. So let's say if we want to write the name of MgBr2. So first, use the periodic table to identify Mg. Mg is called magnesium. And then you look at the second element. On the periodic table, it's called bromine, but instead of saying bromine, we're going to add the suffix ide. So it's going to be bromide. So to name it, it's simply called magnesium bromide. Let's try some more examples. AlF3 and CaO. So Al stands for aluminum. F represents fluorine, but we're going to say fluoride. So AlF3 is called aluminum fluoride. Now what about CaO? What is the name for that? Ca stands for calcium. And the O represents oxygen, but we're going to say oxide. So this is called calcium oxide. Now let's try two more examples. Write the chemical names of Sr3N2 and BaS. So Sr stands for strontium. N represents nitrogen. So this is going to be called strontium nitride. Now what about the last one, BaS? Ba is associated with the element barium. S is sulfur, but we're going to change it to sulfide. So barium sulfide. So that's how you can name binary ionic compounds. Now sometimes you might be given an ionic compound that contains a polyatomic ion. And the periodic table won't help you much in this case, at least for the polyatomic ion. You simply have to commit it to memory. If you're fortunate, your teacher's going to give you the polyatomic ion sheet, and so you could just use that, look it up. If not, you have to commit it to memory. So you're going to need it for the rest of your chemistry course. I would advise you just to memorize it, and it's just going to make life easier. So let's start with Li2SO4 and Na2CO3. So how can we name this substance? Li, you could look that up in the periodic table. That's a lithium. Now, SO4 is a polyatomic ion. It has a single name. The periodic table won't help you with that. You need to look it up in your polyatomic ion sheet. SO4 is simply called sulfate, and that is something you just have to know. Now, there's a video in which I made that goes over the common polyatomic ions that you need to look for. Just look it up on YouTube. You should be able to find it. And it'll help you to understand how to name certain polyatomic ions. So it's easier for you to memorize it. It helps you to get a better understanding of the naming system. Na2CO3. Na represents sodium. CO3 is called carbonate. So combined, it's sodium carbonate. Here's another one. Name this one BaOH2.